You've seen me at the Fred Hall show, now the Bart Hall show. Seems like I always end up being the last one of the day and the battery's always dead. So I'm just used to speaking without the microphone. And speaking of junior anglers, Adriana, I assume that you're not old enough to get a fishing license? No, that's 15. Anybody else in the building that does not need a fishing license? Yeah. Well, no. Senior angler license is a separate thing. Okay, Adriana, come on up here. You want something else just by showing up.
All right. Oh my!
Oh my
Dog!
Oh! Wow!
So there you go. So now you can say you've got your own.
That's a nice one.
Nice.
That
So Grandpa, make sure that you include her in all your trips. She's got her own gear now.
Yes, sir. Okay.
I've just been stealing
Get a
his.
picture?
Well, now, see? Now he's going to steal yours. You gotta watch out. All right. Anyway, so
Where
make
do I
sure.
put this?
Well, that's ask your grandpa. He'll tell you.
You hold it.
Yeah.
Come over here and hold it.
Watch the tip.
Yeah, watch out. Luckily, we're not during the summer, so we don't have to worry about the whirling fans. I've been to many a presentation where the whirling fans created their own issues. But so here we are. We're in November of what year is this? 2023. Holy moly! How did that happen? Somewhere around 2016, something changed out there in the wonderful Pacific Ocean. I don't know what. You can call it global warming, you can call it magnetic pole shift, or you can call it just a cycle, a 100-year cycle that's so big we can't really see it. But up until 2016, the California state record bluefin tuna was 240 pounds. I didn't catch it. It was caught on the Newell land, by the way, way back in the day. But like in the entire history of the state, up to 2016, there had been like 3 or 4 bluefin ever, total, over 200 pounds caught. And anybody care to guess? No, don't guess, because we don't have time. I've been informed that we don't have time for all my usual little guessing games. Now, so the current California state record, remember, it was 240 pounds in 2016. And those were the good old days, right? Well, it's now 396 pounds.
Holy moly.
And that's because the 412 pounder that was caught didn't count as a record because it took 7 people to reel it in.
Wow.
So something fundamentally changed. And I can remember most years in the past, and believe me, I fished in the quote-unquote good old days. I've been around, trust me on that. If you caught a 50-pound bluefin, it was probably your personal best. And depending on the year, it could have been the biggest one of the year. And if you caught a 100-pounder, it was the biggest one of the year. And people were like, how did you catch this? Where did you find it? What's going on? And now a 100-pounder is like,
Not big enough.
did you get any big ones? So something happened. And then the other thing is bluefin tuna and by the way, Pacific bluefin are a different species and they kept in the Atlantic Ocean. A lot of you see me interacting on social media with people and oh that 100-pound, that 200-pound bluefin, that 300-pound bluefin, that's not very big. Different species in the Atlantic Ocean. We wish we had those, but we don't. We have our Pacific bluefin, we love them, that's what we have. But a lot of people see me interacting online with somebody that says, well, I only want one all-around rod and reel for bluefin tuna. Okay? That's like saying, I want one all-around golf club. No such thing, it can't happen. Tiger Woods can beat you with his broken leg. By the way, I hear his kid is even better than him.
Yeah.
You hear that? Yeah, his kid is even better. Well, but forget the kid. Tiger Woods, with his broken leg, can beat anybody in here. Don't try and tell me I'm wrong. With a frying pan. He doesn't even need a golf club. But Tiger Woods carries, well, he pays someone to carry, 14 clubs. You know why he carries 14 clubs? Because that's the limit. He'd carry more if he was allowed to. Because you've got all these different possibilities. And our bluefin tuna, our wonderful Pacific bluefin, you don't know, I mean, you can say, well, yesterday Joe caught 3 of them that were 42 pounds apiece, or whatever. But you don't really know. And whether you're just going out on the San Diego, you know, maybe 40 miles maximum, or you're going out on a 3-day trip, you don't know if the school of bluefin that comes up under the boat is going to be 20 pounders, 50 pounders, 100 pounders, or 250 pounders. We could only wish. All the 250 pounders this week have been in Northern California, literally north of San Francisco. You don't even want to know how many they've been catching up there. But you really don't know. And for that matter, you can go out there, and in the morning it's 20 pounders, and the boat's drifting. The boat never moves. The boat's just drifting. And then about lunchtime, the 90 pounders show up. And then about sundown, the 200 pounders show up, and the boat never moved. So what's your all around rod and reel for that? No such thing. And all of you, hopefully all of you have got one of these 5 rigs. Don't leave the dock without them. And it's really, I've refined this. Starting in 2016, I'm like, okay, 2016, we're like, whoa, what a year. This is never going to happen again. It just kept getting better and better. So I've refined this list down over however many years that is, 8 years, with the captains right down here in San Diego, both at Seaforth and at the major landings. And the last couple of years, I put this in all the major names. I'm not going to drop names. I put this literally when I walk on the boat. I put this up there in front of the captain. I say, make your changes. Be like the 5th grade teacher with the red pencil. And for like all this year, they're like, oh, no, that looks good. You know, so I've refined it down. I mean, I can't say this is all completely my doing, other than just me recording it, making the changes, making the adjustments. But without me getting too long-winded, and yes, some of you have heard me get long-winded, so one of the things I'm going to do is ask that you hold your questions for the end, so that depending on how much time we have left, and I'll be looking for my stage manager to tell me how much time we have left. So hold the questions for the end till we get all the way through it. But we're going to go through this. Also, hopefully all of you have this, because although there's a few hardcore cases out here that probably do have all 5 of these and more, some of you don't. Maybe even most of you don't. So we have, what do we have coming up? We have Christmas coming up. We have lots of birthdays coming up. What?
Tackle Day.
Oh, well, and we have Tackle Day coming up on, I was going to save that for the end, but that's okay.
Sorry.
I'll be there Tackle Day on Saturday. But I was going to say, we have birthdays coming up, we have Christmas coming up, we have, hey, Valentine's Day is coming up. Just leave this lying around, maybe with a little circle around the one. Now, I know you have them all, but not everybody does. Maybe, and this is, so by having it written, this kind of gives you justification. Well, honey, the guy at the meeting said I had to have number 4, so give me number 4. So we're going to go through them real quickly. I'm not going to spend too much detail on it. And although you can definitely interact with me online on all the various forums. I'm on San Diego Fishing. I'm on San Diego Long Range. I'm on Sport Fishing in Southern California. I am also on Instagram. I will never be on TikTok. Ever. So just so you know. And so rig number 1, chances are a lot of you, and especially you old guys that remember Albacore. How many of you old guys in the back, you guys with the gray hair? Okay, you remember Albacore. Everybody in the front, the young people, they're like, what's an Albacore? Is that like an abalone?
Hey, there was one that was caught this year.
Yeah, one. Thank you.
One last year.
Yeah, that's my point. But this is your finesse by bait rig. And in particular, you know, a couple different times, periods of the year. It's usually late August, early September, but also it's been just lately. If you don't have one of these and you go out there, you don't get a bite. Okay, you know what? We all hear about when the tuna are chewing the paint off the bottom of the boat, and it's wonderful when it happens. Guess what percentage of the time it happens? Less than 10%. So if you don't have a finesse rig, and this, as the list says, this can be a single speed. In fact, it should be a single speed star drag reel. This is a Penn Fathom 15, and on almost all my reels, I will fill them up, and you know, it varies a little bit. I will fill them up with as much braid as it takes to leave about a 50-yard top shot. Because I have a lot of loaners that I loan out to people of varying ability from absolute rank beginner to think they're experts. And 50 yards is kind of like the, I found that to be the ideal distance. On my personal rigs, I may literally have from 0 to 100-yard top shot based on exactly what I'm going to be doing. But let's just say I carry more than just these 5. So, but I do like, the captains all tell everybody 25-pound test. Okay, don't get me in trouble. Carrie, do not get me in trouble. Okay? 20 pounds. Use 20-pound test. There's something like, that's like the division. You get a lot more bites with 20-pound test than 25. I don't know why, it just happens to be a number. Like between 25 and 30, not that much of a difference. Between 20 and 25 there is. Also, in general, I don't know if you guys can see this. It's here somewhere. There it is. God, I can't even see it. I like to have about enough fluorocarbon between the hook and the main line that when I make my cast, the knot does not go through the tip guide of the rod. Now, your mileage may vary. Some people use 7-foot rods, some use 8, some use 9. Different casting styles. You will have to figure out how long that is for you. For me, that's generally about 4 feet. And then on this rig, I'm almost always using a J hook. That happens to be an Owner Gorilla Light. That's my favorite. Again, lots of people still like U-claws, people like Mustads. I like that Owner Gorilla Light. That's a number 2. I'd use a number 4 if they only made them that size. But that's a nice light hook that lets your bait swim.
What knot are you using there?
What's that?
What knot are you using there?
What knot? Okay, that's a good question. The knot to join the monofilament to the fluorocarbon is a 4-turn surgeon's knot. When you look the knots up in the knot books, they will show the surgeon's knot, but if it's a freshwater knot book, it shows 2 turns. And most of even the saltwater knot books say 3 turns. Trust me on this, 4 turns. If you're under 20-pound test, like if you're using 15-pound test, that's like a whole another seminar. 5 turns. Okay, but for 20 to 100-pound test, 4-turn surgeon's knot to join your mono to your floor. That's a great question. Make sure that your granddaughter is paying attention. Because it won't be too long before she's tying yours.
Is that nice?
So that's rig number 1.
Well, her mother is a master at that.
Well, there you go. And chances are, most of you probably have one of those. Now, one that a lot of you probably do not have, rig number 2, your 30-pound, that is your big fish finesse rig. And same thing, a couple of times a year, you're going to be out there, and it's not just going to be 30-pounders. And by the way, don't throw that first rig on fish that are over about 40 pounds. You just don't do it. But lots of times you're going to go out, and there's going to be 50, 60, 70-pound bluefin swimming around the boat, and you wish they would buy 40-pound test, but they won't do it. And by the way, you know why fish jump? No, fish jump because they don't have a middle finger.
Because they don't what?
Because they don't have a middle finger. Okay? So they're swimming around the boat, and again, they're 50, they're 60, they're 70 pounds. They won't bite on 40, they won't bite on 50. You wish they would, but they won't. So now you got to catch them on 30. So what have you done differently? This is my Penn Fathom. I happen to like the number 15. Once again, I've got enough braid on there. In this case, it's about 350 yards of braid, plus a 50-yard top shot. And now, I've got a small circle hook. That is an Owner Mu2. Not a Mu2 Light, not a Mu2 Hybrid. A Mu2, number 4 if you can find them, good luck. Or a number 2, nothing bigger than that. The circle hook allows you to hook those bigger tuna that have teeth, hook them in the corner of the mouth so they don't chew through your line. You know how long it takes for a bluefin to chew through your line? 5 minutes less than it takes to land them. So you're looking like, there he is, I got him. Oh, I don't got him. Okay? That's why you want the circle hook. And you can't use a very big one because again, we're talking about fish that are very, very finicky. But again, we've got our 30-pound test, and here's the trick. In the rig number 2, it's a 2-speed. Okay? Now, some of you younger, stronger, not even ex-Marine, well, there's no such thing as an ex-Marine. Retired Marines, young active duty Marines may say some version of, I don't need a 2-speed reel with 30-pound test. Even those guys do. And here's why. Because what happens is you hook that 50 or 60 or 70-pound bluefin on 30 and he's running all around the boat and you're chasing after him. And you're basically leaving the reel in high because, number one, most important thing is keep the line tight. But at some point, you've got that tuna down below the boat circling. And he's looking up and going, how am I going up there? I'm not doing it. And here's what happens. Now, if you're old like me, like this does not take long at all, but so let's just say with the younger, stronger guys, they're like, okay, pump up, reel down. Pump up, reel down, just like you were always told. Okay? Well, what happens is every time you pump up and then you reel down, that bluefin, again, we're not talking about 25-pounders, we're talking about 65-pounders. Every time you reel down, he gets his nose down a little bit, he can just kick his tail a little bit. Maybe he only goes 10 feet. But every time you pump up, then when you reel down, he's doing this. Now you've protracted the fight, and it could be an hour or an hour and a half or 2 hours. Something's going to go wrong. Okay, shark is going to come along. Your best friend who you didn't know you had is going to get tangled up with you, etc., etc. So what happens is, and the older guys actually do this better than the young guys, because they're like, I'm not overpowering this fish, I'm sorry, it's not happening. You push the little easy button, and okay, and you just start grinding. And so what happens is there's that bluefin down there circling like this. He's looking up. He's like, no, I'm not going there. And you're just grinding. And you're never giving him a chance to point his nose down. So he's circling. Maybe he's only coming up 6 inches each circle. Okay? And you're just winding, you're winding, you're winding. Now he may run. I don't want to say that he's never going to run again. Don't lock the drag up. But every time he stops running, you just keep grinding. And then pretty soon, he's coming right up to the surface. And you've either landed him a lot faster than the young guys, or more likely, you actually landed him because when you cut that fighting time down, you've avoided all those potential calamities. Okay? So that's rig number 2. Chances are, unless you've been fishing bluefin seriously the last couple of years, you may not have one of these. So come to tackle day on Saturday and get a good deal on these, or just circle it and hope that Santa takes care of it.
Steve, what's the difference between the Fathoms and the Torques?
Okay, I'm glad you asked that. That's the one question I'm going to take because I knew somebody was going to ask it. Okay. I just so happened to bring a torque with me.
That is a whole lot bigger wheel on the other side.
I know, but all the sizes, you can get both Fathoms and Torques in all the same sizes. So the difference is, okay, you can't really see it because now they're the same color now. The old ones used to be black. Machined aluminum, die-cast aluminum. That means that they take literally a solid chunk of aluminum and machine it down to make the frame. And here, die-cast aluminum means that they have melted aluminum and pour it into a mold.
Ah, okay.
Okay. There's a very minor, it's not very much, there's a very minor upgrade on the ball bearings. The drag system and material on the 2 series, I mean obviously ones that are the same size, are the same, but the Torques have a cover on the drag, which can keep out salt and gunk and whatever. So hopefully it takes a little bit less maintenance that way. And if it matters, made in USA, not made in USA. Okay.
Labor cost.
So that is the difference. I'm glad you asked that. And specifically on rig number 2, I do have a long-running sort of not really an argument, but just like a contrasting opinion with a couple of major San Diego boat captains. And you know what? I mean, neither one of us is wrong, but you'll see that I did adjust what's in rig number 2. This is the Penn 15 extra narrow. That's the Penn 15. Okay, the 15 extra narrow, and these actually, they hold the same amount of line, but this is taller and narrower, this is lower and wider. So what that does, and other brands have similar different model differences too. You have a bigger gear, bigger drag surface, bigger handle. Okay, but what's the trade-off? Overall, the reel is heavier, and to me, the spool is heavier. Okay, so for me, having that lighter spool, again, I'm doing a finesse job, trying to get my bait out there. Okay, the lighter spool is going to be better for me. Also, I'm never going to use anything heavier than 30 on this one. The captains do realize not everybody is insane like me and has a million different rods and reels for every possibility. This particular reel will fish 40 or even 50-pound test top shots if you wanted to. So a lot of captains will tell you to buy this one, and that's the reason. But if you're really trying to finesse that bait out there and get it a little bit past, all the other people on the boat, the regular Model 15 does that. Okay, that's
What reel is that?
That's the Fathom number 2. Do you have a list? Do you have the cheat list?
Yes, I do.
Okay, it's rig number 2. That is the Fathom 15, and the other one that the captains actually prefer is the 15 extra narrow.
But the gear components
Pardon?
are similar? Are they still brass or magnesium?
But between Torque and Fathom,
Yes.
they are both stainless. They are both spec'd the same. They're the same spec. But that's by an engineer sitting in an office somewhere. And the ones that are made in Philadelphia are by...
So they're stainless gears.
Yes, they both have stainless gears. The ones that are made in Philadelphia are machined stainless by union machinists in Philadelphia, all named Guido, all of them. And then the ones that are made in China, I mean, it's the same spec, but it's not going to be the exact same QC. I mean, it's just not. But they are both
But they are stainless.
Yes,
Okay, so
yes.
Well, didn't Penn just get all the stuff back?
Okay. When you're starting out tuna fishing, and I don't think anybody here is really starting out tuna fishing and has never done it, but there may be a few of you, or you may have family members that are just getting into it and they're going to be going with you. Okay? The rig you always start out with is the one in the middle. That's rig number 3. That's your 40-pound rig. This is a Penn Fathom 25 narrow. Okay, and same thing. I fill it up to where there's just enough room. I usually use 50-pound braid on this one. Just enough room for 50 yards of 40-pound monofilament. And once again, most of the time I'm live bait fishing with this rig. There's my little 4-turn surgeon's nut. I don't know if you guys in the back can see it. You just have to trust me, it's there. About 4 feet of fluorocarbon, same pound test. And again, a number 4, sometimes I use a number 2 owner Mutu circle hook. Again, that circle hook is just so key because when you hook those bigger bluefin, they have teeth. I mean, they don't have teeth like a shark or a wahoo, but they have teeth. And they will chew through your line if you don't have that circle hook. So that is kind of a big deal. This one will handle tuna up to about 100 pounds. I've battled 200-pounders on this rig and failed. Okay? But it was a valiant fight. A couple of times. But, I kind of knew how, from the beginning, I kind of knew how it was going to turn out. But 100-pounders have been surprisingly, I don't want to say easy, but my landing percentage is very good. Once you kind of get over exactly how to work the drag, and in particular, once again, there's that easy button. Don't get into the pump and reel like we always, like our grandpas taught us, pump and reel. You know what, Adriana? When you're out there fishing for tuna, look for that easy button, push it in, and just turn the handle. And guess what's going to happen? That tuna is, you turn the handle, Randall. That tuna is just going to circle right up. He's looking up at you and goes, "How are you doing that?" And it's all the easy button. And you know what? Sometimes the tuna will go, "Oh, I'm going to go do something." He's going to run like crazy. Just like that. Now you're back in high, and you can remember, keep the line tight. That is your number 1 priority. Keep the line tight. So a lot of people will, I see this happen all the time, they'll put it in low, they'll reel in their fish, they catch their fish, oh my God, they're all happy, they pose with the picture. They keep fishing in low, they don't even realize it. So make sure that after you've landed your fish, you pop it back into high. Okay? So unless you have a really big fish right down below you going, I'm not coming in, you're gonna be in high almost all the time. So for small fish, medium fish, you stay in high. Only for big fish do you go to low. Okay? I'm telling her this because in a few years your memory's gonna be shot. She's gonna have to remember it. She's gonna have to remind you. Okay, that's rig number 3, and that is always the one that you start with when you don't have anything.
What pounds, etc.?
I usually like 50, because you get more yardage that way. You can use 65 if you may occasionally. Sometimes back when we used to be allowed to fish at Guadalupe Island, I would actually sometimes use a 50-pound top shot on that particular reel. And I always like my braid to be one level, one bump heavier than whatever the top shot is. So, but we no longer have that option. So most of the time my braid is going to be 50-pound on that because my top shot's always going to be 40.
So how do you set your drag on the 2 speeds?
Okay, we're going to have to save that one for the end.
Okay.
Because that's a long answer. That's a long answer. Now, the one that isn't on your list, I hesitate to tell people. I've been telling people for a couple of years that they only need 5. I hate to tell people that they need 6. Because these things are not cheap, except at Tackle Day, in which case there's lots of really good deals. But even at Tackle Day, they're not cheap. They're just a better bargain, right? Yeah. You buy your cheap gear at Wally World. And I love Wally World. I shop there all the time, but not for fishing tackles. Okay? But the rig that is not on there, in between 3 and 4, in between the 40 and the 60, is, math majors will note, 50 pound. Okay, San Diego State math majors, you don't really know what it is. But that's becoming a thing. 50 pound is becoming a thing. I hesitate to tell people they have to have it, but you're getting situations where you've got 125 poundish grade fish that again, they're too big for the 30 and they won't bite the 60. So that 50 will get you that done with the bait. And in particular, my favorite lure, and there's a lot of different brands out there. My particular favorite one, I mean, some people call them cold snipers, current snipers. Mine is the Williamson Gomame, and I have apparently been informed that Gomame means small dried sardines. Who knew? And depending on the grade of the fish that you expect, you can tie it direct to your 50-pound test. I actually have this one on a small, short piece of 100-pound fluorocarbon. So if you're expecting fish, again, in that 125-pound range, it's kind of nice to have some fluorocarbon to protect it because they love these lures and they suck them all the way down. Obviously, you can't use a circle hook with these. So you're going to get them chewing on your main line. Pardon? Yes, that is why. I'm sure you guys in the back can probably not see that. But that's why I like those Williamson Gomames. That is what makes the fish bite. And also on all these lures of this type and up that we're going to look at, most of the world is not catching fish like we've been catching since 2016. They're just not catching. They would use this lure typically all around the world for 100 different species, fish from about 5 to about 25 pounds. And the hooks that they come with are fine for that. However, if you only catch a 25-pounder on this, you're going to be disappointed. So I have upgraded that. That happens to be an owner ST66. I get the next bigger size and then the next big heavier wire gauge on those lures. And I will find also all the brands, I mean again, including the Gomame, but all the other brands too, of this particular type of lure, get more bites with treble hooks. I've tried so many different styles of hooks, and some hold a little bit better than the treble hooks do, but you get so many more bites on the treble hooks. It's just, again, the math works in your favor. You're going to lose a few, but you get so many more bites, you end up with more fish on the day. So that's the rig that, if you already have the other 5, this is the one that you want your 50-pound rig. And I know, Terry, you've got this one too.
I seem to have all the questions Steve, tonight, so.
That's okay. Well,
So, when you upgraded your treble hook to a bigger size, they say that it affects the fall or the fluttering motion.
yeah, in that particular style of lure, it makes it better. I don't know why. I've tried it with singles, I've tried it with singles with the
Uh-huh.
aligned,
With
with the aligned eye,
offset.
assist with everything. It just makes them better. And most importantly, if you get more bites, I mean, it's not like you lose everything back to all the way back to free spool. Do not touch this until you're all the way back in free spool. And then you kind of just start out with a guess. You can roll it forward, you can roll it backwards. I usually start out just by pulling it by hand, push it back up here to strike, it feels too loose. Then when I get to where I'm kind of close to where I kind of want to be, then I break out the drag scale. And I use a scale, and whatever my weakest link is, if it's my top shot, if it's my braid, whatever, you always want to, you know, if you're a little bit unsure about your knots, have one of the crew tie your knots. But whatever your weakest link is, if your weakest link is 60-pound test, make sure that your drag is set no higher than 1/3 of that pound test. And usually I suggest 25%. Because you can always, after the fish is done running around and running fast, you can always go forward towards the full position and get more drag. Hang on a second, Carrie. And also and this is a big one of mine when you're fishing tuna. Number one, you drop your jig down deep. Now your spool might be, a quarter to a third down just by dropping your jig down 400 feet. Now you've hooked a tuna, and he just ran another 100 or 200 yards. So now your spool is 2/3 empty without you changing anything. That drastic change in the diameter of the spool has tightened up the drag way, way, way up. And yes, Carrie, you were going to say.
Do you take into the speed of the action in your rod?
Not too much. That's more about fighting the fish. I mean, I didn't even bring. I mean, there's other kinds of fishing. There's slow pitch jigging. There's fast pitch jigging. Sorry about that. There's all kinds of other styles of fishing where yes, that the action of the rod is very important to that. But almost all these are. It's not going to be an issue in terms of what your action of your rod is.
So
Did that answer your question?
difference between the new redesigned Fathom?
The new Fathom and the old Fathom. Okay. Other than the gear ratio on the 40 Narrows, okay, which is now San Diego-fied,
Which is only on.
only on the 40 Narrow.
Not a new Fathom.
Only the new 40 Narrow. All the other gear ratios, whatever they were in the black, now they are in the silver. They're exactly the same. The drag is the same. The gears are the same. What's changed is the frame. The frame is now a one piece. The entire left side, all the way through the frame to the right side is all one piece. Before it was the left side plate screwed to a frame with the right side plate on there. Also, they've changed the shift button to mirror what the Internationals had. The old Fathoms had a really, I liked the shift, it was fine, but it was, according to consumer testing, it was confusing. So this is a little bit, apparently, for your average weekend warrior, this one is a little bit easier for them to figure out. I'm so old, I remember when there were no two-speed reels, so I don't care what kind of a shift a reel has. I like them all.
Yeah, so I mean, I have all my reels are black Fathom.
Yeah.
And I was just wondering
Well,
why
you're probably-
change a good thing.
Yeah, you're probably pretty good at shifting them, and so the new shift wouldn't mean much to you. Also, I mean, they've upgraded the handle slightly, where the two speeds have the big banana handle, and the one speeds have the old football torpedo handle. For the people that gotta have one or gotta have the other, they are interchangeable.
They are.
They are. And they're not even that expensive. I don't like to quote prices on parts, but I think if you just order the knobs, whichever knob you want, I think they're only like $14, $15.
Wow, okay.
I could be a little bit wrong on that, but yeah.
And then the SDRR club specials, right? We can work on that.
Okay, so now since I have to keep going, so now we're going to have to I'm going to show you guys what we're going to do here. I'm going to keep it short because I don't want to get in trouble. So, okay, here we go. You guys have all got your cheat sheets, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Raise your hand, do not yell the answer out. If you yell the answer out, even if it's right, I will not call on you. So, we didn't even get to talk about this. This is a different seminar altogether. But for the Rapala X-Rap Magnum 40, these are like 30 bucks in the
Yeah.
store. Okay? For the person that can tell me, don't yell it out, raise your hand. What's my favorite reel to fish? My favorite Penn reel to fish? You guys don't even know what the question is yet. 20 or 25 pound test.
500.
You were first.
Is the 15?
The 15,
fathom?
more
Right.
complete answer.
It's wrong, it's wrong.
Number one.
Like the fathom 15.
Thank you. Star draft. There you go. See, that's how it's going to be.